public schools all across the country are just a few days away from starting a new school year, and teachers are no doubt getting ready, as are the students. But preparation these days isn't just about curriculum and school supplies. Preparation for some teachers now involves literally being trained to be prejudiced. That's really the best way to describe what one school system in Tennessee was caught doing this summer. Well, joining me now to talk about this and more is Nicki Neily. She's the founder and president of Parents Defending Education, which is the group that uncovered what happened in Tennessee. Nicki, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure as always. Well, listen, first of all, thank you for all that you are doing, all that you have done to protect children in the classrooms. But now I look at this is a bombshell discovery that you have uncovered. Tell us about the documents that you obtained through this public records request.
Sure. So this is for the Clarksville School District in Tennessee. And as you said, this is a teacher training program. The district took pains to stress that this was voluntary. But at the end of the day, what these materials say is they encourage teachers, administrators to discriminate. They break students into two groups, oppressors and oppressed. And unsurprisingly, when you look at the oppressor group, it's Christian, male, cisgender, which means you identify with the body into which you were born. And the oppressed include things like, LGBT, minority, polyamorous. And so really not only trying to pit people against each other, but also trying to normalize some questionable behavior, if we can say that.
I think that's a great point, that it's really a dual purpose going on. One, to attack one group, white Christians, you specifically mentioned, while at the other, on the other hand, normalizing these phenomenal, unbelievable, quite frankly, disgusting type lifestyles that are trying to be normalized in our country. Let me ask you this, though, in light of what you have found, when it comes to the labeling of certain people as being privileged, and certain people, on the other hand, as being oppressed, aren't what we really talking about is in and of itself encouraging prejudice?
Absolutely. I really resent the fact that we have school administrators, public officials that are trying to put people into buckets and make sure that they are, considered members of identity groups and not seen as individuals. I mean, my family on my dad's side is Japanese. My grandparents met in an internment camp. My grandfather's family was hugely patriotic. My grandmother's family refused to sign the loyalty oath and lost their American citizenship and moved back to Japan. That's the diversity that exists in just one family. So to look at me and say, you know what, you're Asian, you have yellow skin, you think this way, I think is a disservice to me as well as to my ancestors. And the fact that we have this being done to us with our tax dollars is truly insult to injury.
It really is. So listen, I want to switch gears, but before I do that, are you seeing any movement now that this has become public? Has there been an about face of any sort in the school district there?
No about face from the school district, but we did flag it for a number of state officials. So we hope that they will be taking action on it, and we will be following up with them if they do not, because this is not an appropriate use of tax dollars. This is not what our teachers should be learning. They should be learning how to teach children to learn more effectively, not teaching teachers how to divide each other and to condescend to students.
Well, absolutely, and that's why we're so grateful that you've got your pulse on this. We know you won't let go of it. But switching gears, if I can, Nicki, last week your organization released yet another bombshell report that shows a startling amount of influence from the Chinese Communist Party in our schools, specifically K through 12. Tell us what you found out.
Yes, I think a lot of your viewers are probably familiar with Confucius Institutes. Those are the programs that occurred at the higher education level. And it's something that under the Trump administration, Secretaries Betsy DeVos and Pompeo were able to rein in because, thanks to the Higher Education Act, there is mandatory transparency of foreign funding in higher education. Frighteningly, no such transparency requirements exist in the K-12 level. And so we started looking into this in March when we identified over $1 million flowing to a high school in Northern Virginia, the Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. And when we found that, we thought, well, is this taking place elsewhere? And if so, where and how much? And after 4 months, we've identified 143 school districts across America. But frighteningly, I think this is only the tip of the iceberg. And so there's a lot more out there, and we intend to continue following on this up.
Well, and regardless of what people think, one way or the other, the opposition here is not about teaching students about Chinese language or teaching students about the culture programs. I mean, we are talking here about American schools that are giving the Chinese Communist Party unfettered access to our children. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Absolutely. This is certainly not to impugn all Chinese language or culture programs whatsoever. We're just saying parents should know who is funding and who is teaching our students, particularly if they come from a hostile nation, so that parents can make an informed decision whether they want their children to participate in these programs or not. Some of the contracts that we saw gave the Chinese government, Hanban, their international kind of influence operation, oversight and control over curriculum, over teachers that came over. Certainly no teacher is going to be able to come over from the People's Republic of China without checking all of the ideological boxes by the Communist Party. And so to us, those are concerning things, and we want parents to know so that they can decide whether this is a fit for their family or not.
Yeah, and I would imagine with that, this is yet another one of those examples that they don't want parents to know what's going on. So what do we do here? What do state and federal officials need to be doing to help correct this?
Certainly. We reached out to many of your former colleagues in the House and Senate. We sent letters to 7 House and Senate committees last week, including the China Select Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committees in both chambers, asking them to investigate this. Representative Jim Banks from Indiana already sent a letter to Secretary Cardona asking for an investigation. And we've also reached out to all of the governors, asking them to wrap their hands around this, because at the end of the day, the governors have oversight over their education systems in their state.
Have you heard back from any of them yet?
Unfortunately not, but I'm going to chalk it up to August recess, and we're going to be following up with them when they get back in September.
Well, Nicki Neily, Parents Defending Education, thank you so much for the incredible work that you do, and thank you for joining us this evening on Washington Watch. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.